everybody. Here we go again for the second unit of Gateway to English, which talks about cultural issues and values. But before I get started, I want to thank all the people that gave me great encouragement to keep doing this after I published my first video on YouTube and Facebook as well. So unit number 2 talks about culture, and we all know that culture is a way of life or simply a lifestyle. And here are some pictures to get started with, pictures that show some cultural values like greeting, clothes, house designs or building houses, music, food, celebrations as well, and of course that shows the variety of the cultural heritage that we all have in our country and other cultures have as well. So the first unit or the first lesson of unit number 2 is a vocabulary lesson, and it talks about compound adjectives, which are adjectives that are made up of 2 or more words, usually with a hyphen between them. In the first unit, if you remember, we have seen collocations. They are made up of 2 words as well, but they are not adjectives. So that's what makes the difference between compound adjectives and collocations. Compound adjectives always describe something or somebody. Let's check 3 examples. Example number 1. Most traditional jewelries are made with hand. When we read the next sentence, most traditional jewelries are handmade, we notice that handmade is a 2-word compound adjective, and handmade describes jewelries. That's why it's an adjective, and it's compound because it's made up of 2 words separated with a hyphen. The same thing in the next examples. You can check it yourself. My cousin lives in Paris. He has his own business there, so he is self-employed. My cousin is self-employed. Self-employed is a compound adjective made up of 2 words separated with a hyphen that describes my cousin. The third example, my father gets angry very quickly. So my father is a short-tempered person. Short-tempered is a compound adjective describing my father as a person. Next lesson is communication, and if we don't understand the lesson of vocabulary, that means that we have to show some lack of understanding. So lack of understanding is when we don't understand something, we express it. And usually when we don't understand, we ask for more explanation, for more clarification. That's what the lesson of communication is about. I need to show that I don't understand, so I use the expressions for lack of understanding, such as, what do you mean by? Cosmopolitan is an example. I don't quite follow you. I don't get your point. I don't understand, simply. And usually when we don't understand, we ask for more clarification. We can use these expressions. Can you be more precise, please? Can you explain more? Can you clarify more? Could you be more explicit? Now, reading text on page 28, and I try to put like the same or the main ideas of the reading text, and it talks about culture and globalization in Japan and how globalization affects culture not only in Japan but everywhere else, even in our country. Now the main ideas in the reading text are: idea number 1, culture refers to lifestyle or our way of life. Of course you can tell that that's the definition of what culture is. It's our lifestyle, our way of life, including how we dress, how we speak, what language we use, what music we listen to or we sing, and all the other values and issues related to it. Now the second idea is people should accept each other's cultural differences without forgetting or abandoning their cultural uniqueness or local values. And that talks about accepting each other's differences. We don't have one culture in the world. We have so many different cultures, so we should just accept that somebody has another culture that is different from mine. But that can lead us to say, I should never forget my own culture or abandon it. That's what is in the third idea, that people need to keep, in the fourth idea, that people need to go back to their cultural roots to preserve and promote their cultural traits while adapting to the global standards to improve their economy and industry and agriculture. That's why we have to accept our cultural differences. Now, the relationship between culture and globalization is, we can see it in idea number 3, that people need to keep human contacts in the internet age, because simply virtual contacts through the internet should not or cannot be a substitute for human relations, but rather they should complement real contacts. And if you notice that people nowadays use a lot of technological tools, and that shouldn't make them replace real face-to-face communication, human relationships, with just virtual internet relations. Now, some vocabulary that I selected from the same reading text. I will simply read the meaning of the word. So, consistent. Something that is consistent is the same, not changing. Misconception, to believe that something in a wrong way. Discrepancy, difference, disagreement. A substitute, to put something instead of something else, or to replace, like in football. And a player is a substitute for another player, replace another player. The next word is disseminate, to spread ideas, beliefs, etc. widely and simply to expand. Bias, an opinion or belief that favors one side in an argument, and sometimes unfairly. We can know that a person is wrong in what he is saying, but we still say, yeah, I agree with you. That's bias. Now, the main lesson of unit number 2 is a grammar lesson, and it's about the past perfect simple and the past perfect continuous, which students see for the first time in the second year of baccalaureate. Now, the past perfect, because it has past, so it's already past, it's already finished, it's already a finished action. But the past perfect, we use it for an action which happened before another action in the past. Maybe the timeline can help you. If you look at the timeline, we got the present, that's the time which is right now, and we have the past. And in the past we have two actions, one action in green and one action in orange. So the past perfect, we use it for the action in orange. Why? Simply because it happened before the action in the past, simple, the action in green, but they are together in a past tense. Maybe the examples can help you, and I would love that you be careful to the colors as well in the example. So, first example, she had finished work before she met her friends for coffee. Had finished is in the same color like past perfect. Met is in the same color with past simple in the timeline. What do we understand, or what do we have to understand from that? That the two actions happened in the past, but one action happened before another action. So the action that happened before, we use it in the past perfect, and the form of the past perfect is had plus a past participle of the verb. Now, the past perfect is used with the following time expressions: before, after, already, just, for, since, until, when, by the time. Let's move on to the past perfect continuous. This time we start with the form, and the form of the past perfect continuous is had been plus a verb plus ing. Let's see the use now. The past perfect continuous is used to emphasize, to focus, to give importance to the duration of an action. So the duration of an action is more important than the action itself. The duration of an action which started and finished in the past before another past action, usually with for and since. So to make it short, the difference between the simple and continuous: in past perfect simple, the action is important. In past perfect continuous, the duration of the action is more important than the action. Now the timeline, it's similar to the first one. What is the difference? If you look at the past perfect continuous, you will not see just a cross, an action. You will see a duration of an action that takes time, that is long action. Let's check 3 examples altogether. First example: they had been looking for a house for 6 months before they found one. 2 actions in the past, one before the other. Why we use the past perfect continuous? Simply because when they had been looking for a house, it took 6 months, and that's a long period of time. So the duration of time here is more important than the action of looking for a house itself. Second example: I had been doing my homework when the light went off. And when you are doing your homework, that takes time, so you want to emphasize the duration of the action more than the action that was happening at that moment. Third example: who had been living in that house before your father bought it? 2 actions in the past, one before the other. All the actions in orange color, they are past perfect continuous because they happened first. The actions in green color, found, went off, bought, they are in the past simple because they happened after the first action, but the 2 actions in the past. Now the past perfect continuous is used with the following time expressions: for, since, how long, before, until. Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope that this is a little bit helpful. I'm still waiting for more